I never imagined that the worst betrayal of my life would come from the very people I trusted most. My own family. It was supposed to be just another family dinner. I remember pulling up to my parents' house in Missoula, Montana, feeling exhausted but relieved. Work at the design firm had been crazy, deadlines piling up, and honestly, I thought a quiet meal with my family might calm my nerves. I walked into the kitchen like I'd done 100 times before. Mom was pulling a bowl of mashed potatoes out of the oven. Dad was muttering about the TV volume, and my brother Colt barely looked up from his phone when I greeted him. It was so normal, so familiar, and yet I felt this strange tightness in my chest, like something wasn't right. We sat down, passed the food around, and for a while, the only sounds were forks scraping and glasses clinking. I cut into my chicken, trying to shake off the stress of work, and then just like that, my whole world tilted. Mom and Dad put their forks down at the same time. They exchanged a glance, and then Mom said, calm but sharp, "Whitney, you have 2 days to pack your things and leave the house." I laughed at first. I thought it had to be some kind of sick joke. "Excuse me, what are you talking about?" I asked. Dad leaned forward, his eyes cold, colder than I'd ever seen. "You heard your mother. By Friday, the house isn't yours anymore. Get your belongings out." I felt the blood drain from my face. "The house? You mean my house? The one I saved from foreclosure 3 years ago, the one I poured my savings into? That was a family decision," Dad snapped. "And it's no longer your concern." I turned to Colt, hoping for some kind of explanation, but he just smirked, like he was in on a joke I hadn't been told. That smirk, God, I can still see it, made my stomach twist. I slammed my fork down. My hands were shaking. "Are you serious? You're throwing me out of my own home after everything I did for this family?" Mom's voice turned icy. "Stop being dramatic, Whitney. You'll figure something out." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This was the home I had saved, the home I had sacrificed for. I'd worked double shifts, skipped new clothes, gone without vacations, all so my family wouldn't lose the roof over their heads. And now, they were discarding me like trash. I pushed my chair back, the sound screeching against the hardwood floor. My eyes burned with tears, but I wouldn't let them see me cry. "I don't understand," I whispered. "What are you hiding from me?" That's when Colt finally spoke. He set his phone down, leaned back in his chair, and smirked wider. "You'll find out soon enough, sis." I left the house that night with my heart pounding in my ears. I barely remember the drive back to my apartment. All I could hear in my head was their ultimatum: 2 days, 2 days, 2 days. When I got home, I sat at my kitchen table, staring at nothing. My chest felt like it was being crushed. Why would they do this? Why now? The next morning, I couldn't sit still. I pulled out my laptop and logged into my bank account. Something inside me told me there was more to this story, and I was right. Scrolling through the statements, my eyes caught on something strange. A massive loan, $60 taken out in my name, with forged signatures that looked like mine, but weren't. My stomach dropped. My hands went cold. My parents, my brother, they hadn't just betrayed me, they had stolen from me. I sat there frozen, staring at the screen, tears blurring my vision. I thought of all the nights I stayed late at work, the times I skipped meals just to send money home. The way I believed family always came first. It was all a lie. And then my phone buzzed. A text from Colt. "Better start packing, sis. Clock's ticking." I threw the phone down on the table, my hands shaking. For a moment, I thought about giving up, letting them take it all, walking away. But something inside me snapped. No, not this time. They could take my money. They could try to take my house, but they were not going to take my voice. I wiped my tears, closed my laptop, and whispered to myself, if they want to fight, I'll give them one. The morning after that awful dinner, I woke up with swollen eyes and a pounding headache. I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard their voices again. 2 days, Whitney, the house isn't yours anymore. It wasn't just about the house anymore. It was about betrayal. My parents, my brother, the very people who raised me, who laughed with me, who I sacrificed for, had turned against me. But as much as it hurt, I knew I couldn't let the pain swallow me whole. I had to figure out what they were hiding. I opened my laptop again and started combing through every single bank statement, every transaction, every little detail that carried my name. The numbers blurred at first, thousands of dollars shifting here, monthly payments that didn't belong. And then I saw it, a $60,000 loan attached to my name. Approved months ago. The loan documents had my signature, but it wasn't mine. The loops were wrong, the slant was off, the confidence of the pen stroke didn't match my hand. It was close enough that a stranger might believe it, but I knew. My breath caught in my throat. My family had forged my name. I leaned back in my chair, trembling. Tears burned my eyes again, but this time they weren't just from pain. They were from rage. All those times I worked late nights at the design firm, skipping dinner to finish a project. All the vacations I never took because I told myself family comes first. All the sacrifices I made, and this is what they did with my trust. I slammed my laptop shut and stood up, pacing across my tiny apartment. My heart was racing, my palms sweaty. Okay, Whitney, I whispered to myself, you can either curl up and let them destroy you, or you can fight back. I chose to fight. The first person I called was my best friend, Lila. She'd been with me since college, and luckily for me, she had gone into law. Not a fancy big city lawyer, but smart, sharp, and relentless. When she smelled injustice, when she picked up a genuine, say hello, Lila, they forged a loan in my name, $60,000. There was silence on the other end, and then a sharp intake of breath. Oh my God, Whitney, are you serious? I have the documents. The signatures aren't mine. I know who did it. My voice cracked. My parents and Colt. Listen to me, Lila said firmly. Don't panic. Print every single document. Gather every statement. Don't throw anything away. I'll come by tonight. For the first time since the dinner, I felt a flicker of hope. That evening, Lila sat across from me at my kitchen table. Papers spread out between us like a crime scene. She circled signatures with her red pen, compared them against old contracts I'd signed, and scribbled notes furiously. This is bad, she muttered. Really bad for them. Forgery, fraud, identity theft. You could take this straight to court. I swallowed hard. Do you really think I have a case? Lila looked me in the eye. Whitney, you don't just have a case, you have proof. They thought they could bury you in lies, but you're smarter than they gave you credit for. I let out a shaky laugh. I don't want to believe it. These are my parents, my brother. I would have given them anything if they'd just asked. That's what makes it worse, Lila said softly. They knew that, and instead of trusting you, they stole from you. Her words sank deep into my chest. The grief was heavy, but beneath it, something stronger was growing. Determination that the next step was confronting Colt. I knew my parents would only stonewall me with cold excuses, but Colt, he couldn't hide his arrogance if his life depended on it. I texted him to meet me at a local coffee shop. When he showed up, he leaned back in his chair with that same smug smirk. What's this about, sis? You here to beg for more time? My fists clenched under the table. I slid a folder across to him. Inside were copies of the forged loan documents. His smirk faltered for a second, but then he laughed. Oh, come on. You can't prove anything. Maybe you forgot you signed it. Stress can mess with your memory. My jaw dropped. Are you insane? You really think I'm going to forget signing away $60,000? Colt shrugged. You'll never win against Mom and Dad. They've got it all covered. You're just wasting your time. I leaned in, lowering my voice so only he could hear. You underestimate me, Colt. You always have. But this time, I have a lawyer. I have the documents. And I am not afraid of dragging every single one of you into court. For the first time, I saw his smirk crack. He shifted uncomfortably, his eyes darting away. That was all I needed to know. I was on the right track. When I got home, Leela was waiting for me with more papers and a plan. We'll file the fraud report first. Then, we'll prepare for court. This is going to be ugly. Whitney, they'll fight back. They'll lie. They'll try to make you look crazy. I nodded slowly. Let them. I've been quiet my whole life. Always the good daughter. Always the one cleaning up their messes. But not this time. I took a deep breath and looked at the stack of evidence on my table. This time, I fight for me. I remember sitting alone in my car that night, gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. My parents had just told me to leave the house I thought I had saved for them, for us. I felt like the ground had been pulled out from beneath me. But more than the betrayal, more than the heartbreak, there was this fire inside me. I wasn't going to let them win. The next morning, I called in sick to work, sat down at my kitchen table, and began pulling together every document I had: bank statements, tax forms, credit card bills. That's when I found it. A loan document with my name forged across the bottom. $60,000. My parents and my brother Colt had signed it using my identity. My chest tightened. My own family had stolen from me. I wanted to scream, but instead, I picked up the phone and called my best friend, Anna, who also happened to be a lawyer. She didn't sound surprised. "Whit," she said, "I've seen families tear each other apart over money, but this is fraud. We can fight this." Her words steadied me. That evening, I drove by the house. The porch light was on, and through the window, I could see them, my parents, Colt, and his wife sitting around the table, laughing like nothing had happened, like I didn't exist. I parked a block away and just sat there, watching. My blood boiled. This was my home too. I had poured years of my savings into keeping it afloat, yet here they were, celebrating as if I was disposable. But IWASN single quotes. The next day, Anna and I started building the case. We gathered evidence of the forged signatures, the money trail, the lies. Each piece of paper was like a dagger cutting deeper into the illusion that my family had ever truly cared for me. When I confronted Colt at his workplace, he didn't even flinch. He leaned back in his chair, smirking. "You always thought you were better than us, Whitney," he said coldly. "Well, now you'll see what it feels like to lose everything." His arrogance fueled me more than anything else. I filed charges, and when the court papers were finally served, the look on their faces was priceless. My father tried to call me, begging me to work this out privately, but I ignored him. They had chosen betrayal. Now they could face justice. As the weeks passed, the trial date grew closer. Neighbors began whispering. Friends who once sided with my parents started reaching out to me. Slowly, the truth spread. My parents' reputation crumbled. And Colt, once the golden boy of the family, was exposed as nothing more than a thief. The night before the trial, I couldn't sleep. I sat by the window of my small apartment, staring out at the quiet Missoula streets, thinking about everything I had lost, and everything I was about to reclaim. This wasn't just about money. It was about me finally standing up for my worth, my future, and my independence. And I was ready. The morning of the trial, I walked into the courthouse with my head held high. My heart pounded, but I reminded myself, they may have taken my trust, but they will never take my strength. When my parents and Colt entered the courtroom, they wouldn't even look at me. Colt sat with that same smug grin, as if he thought the world still revolved around him. But when the judge asked for the evidence, Anna presented everything: my forged signature, the loan documents, the bank transfers leading directly to Colt's account. I watched their faces fall, one by one. My mother's hands trembled as she tried to explain it away. My father stammered, blaming desperation. But desperation doesn't justify fraud. Then Colt was called to the stand. He tried to charm his way out of it, painting me as selfish, ungrateful. But when the prosecutor asked, "Mr. Neal, can you explain why the loan money went into your personal account?" the smirk disappeared. He had no answer, just silence. The judge's ruling was clear. The forged loan was illegal. My parents and Colt were held accountable. The home, the house I had fought so hard to save, was repossessed by the bank. They lost everything. Walking out of that courthouse, I felt a strange mix of grief and freedom. Grief because I had lost my family. Freedom because I had finally broken free from their manipulation. A week later, I moved into a small but beautiful apartment near downtown Missoula. I decorated it myself, bright colors, sunlight streaming through the windows, everything chosen by me, for me. I got a promotion at the design firm, and for the first time in years, I felt like I was exactly where I belonged. People often ask if I regret taking my family to court. The truth, no. Betrayal cuts the deepest when it comes from those closest to you. But standing up for myself was the most important choice I ever made. My parents lost their home. Colt lost his reputation. And I found my voice, because protecting your worth sometimes means walking away from those who never valued it. This isn't just a story about betrayal. It's a story about justice, survival, and reclaiming who you are, even when it means standing alone. And today, as I sit in my apartment surrounded by peace, I know one thing for certain. I may have lost a family, but I gained myself. And that is worth everything.